Welcome to Ascension with V, where we talk about spiritual awakening, ascension, and everything in between. I'm your host, Stashia Jeanette, aka V, and today we have a special guest that's about to take us on a unique journey with their gifts and experiences. Welcome back, and tell us again a little bit about you and your business, and also your podcast that you have and what you've got going on, and then we'll dive back into what we were talking about prior to hitting the record.
So thank you so much for having me again. It took us quite a while to find the time, and we were just laughing because we're recording this on full moon in
Yes,
Virgo.
yes.
That's kind of a hilarious thing on its own. But yeah, I'm working as a spiritual mindset coach. I do a lot of light language channeling and energetic medicine work to come to the power, basically. I'm all about reminding women to come back to their power and like release these programs that we have been raised with around being shy, being the good girl, like being the one who always pleases everyone else because she dares to care for herself, even like the tiniest bit. And
Just a
I
little
have
bit.
embodied that for a really long time. So I'm good at that.
Same.
And overcoming this is a journey that challenged me a lot, still does.
Yes.
But that's where my calling came in to say, like, okay, this is exactly what I'm here for. This is exactly what I'm meant to do, is lead women through this process of coming back to themselves and the power that we all hold initially. And it's a really beautiful work. It brings me to my edges as well because it's something that I've lived through many lives. But yeah, that's what I do. And what I'm is that you?
No, it's you.
Really? I have my phone on not disturb. Cool.
And she said, "Oh, cool. What's happening?"
We're close to Mercury retrograde, so
That's
I had,
that's what.
I had another podcast today where we have the same issues. Should we like just wait until it's over? No, it's over. Okay, so where we are. Yeah, so before we started recording, we talked about nothing here is ringing.
It's not me either.
That's so crazy. How can that be?
That's so
Has
weird.
it stopped on your end?
Yeah, has it stopped on yours?
Yes, it stopped on mine. Okay, I've closed every open whatever I ever had, so let's hope that it stopped now.
What is that ring even from? Is that like a is that is that Instagram? Is that Facebook?
I'm not sure. Everything here is on not disturbed, so I don't know.
Same, literally. I'm like literally same. So I'm just trying to understand. Or
Yeah, me
mine's
too.
on the
But maybe
mine's on
logic is nothing that we need right now here.
what even is happening? This is the story of our life all the time. Like I don't even know if I should cut this from the thing because this is too crazy to believe. Like
You
what?
can.
Can't. At this point, we got to leave it. We got to leave it. Can't.
So it's always funny. I wonder what happens next time we meet.
Literally, it's like because the worlds collide when we come together or something. Like it's the collision of worlds or something. The energy is just too much when we come together. I don't know.
You know,
Maybe
I wonder what happens if we would meet in physical. Would
that's what
it
I was
be?
getting ready to say. That's what I was getting ready to say. I was like, maybe it's because it's like the two parallel lives, the two lives on different timelines coming together or something. I swear we would create a tsunami or
We should be really careful about meeting.
right, like
But well, nothing under a pre-eclipse full moon is good enough, you know?
is good enough. Is good enough because
Okay, that's really funny. I thank you. I always have like the most joyful experience when we meet.
all the time. It's always like nothing will ever be just like a normal experience ever. Ever. This is our normal. What are we talking about? Like this is our normal.
It's when we started our, warming up before it's like how intense everything is when we're recording this like 3 months into 2025 and the energies have just been at the highest intensity
Chaos.
chaos I've ever like come across in this life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting that we all hold that. And then, especially with the Virgo full moon,
Hmm.
that we're like having the grace to experience right now. And we talked a lot about, last time we talked a lot about astrology And I was about to share that I'm a Virgo, sun and moon,
Oh, that's right. You're Virgo moon too.
and my son, about whom we talked briefly before, he's a Virgo rising, and we talked about like how the energies today are like really, kind of a bit of
Rare.
which makes so much sense. And I think it's so interesting if we have this level of awareness, and I feel like I'm only tiptoeing into what's possible,
Right.
how much calmness can come
Yeah.
from this at the same time as I'm nervous, agitated, annoyed, whatever the human body feels when stuff isn't going the way we want. But at the same time, this awareness like really helps me to, and I wonder how you handle that, helps me to kind of see that in two parallel realities at the same time. The one where I'm really feeling the annoyance and the frustration, and the other one that says like, yeah, of course, that's how it is. So I like just shrugging the shoulder and saying like, well,
Yes.
that's life
Yes.
here on Earth.
That's
That's how
that's life.
here.
That's also me. Like I try really hard. I mean, I'm Aries rising,
Mhm.
so like I always get that agitation, with certain things. But recently I found this year in general, honestly, I would say from around Christmas time to now, I've become more and more rapidly surrendered into things where a lot of stuff that used to be I used to be like, are you kidding me now? Like, are you kidding me? That's what we're doing, so that's what's happening. Like now I'm just kind of like, it is what it is. And I don't know, it's interesting. I had to stop and reflect and introspect with myself the other day. Super hermit, so like introspection is my happy place, going within and like diving into the crevices of my soul and being like, what do we have in here? That's my happy place. But a couple of weeks ago I was doing this because I got a little concerned because a lot of things that typically would, I don't know, bother me or kind of make me feel at least some type of emotion had no effect on me. And I was like, uh-oh, is this a am I is something broken here? I'm like, what happened? So I went within and I was like, what is this? And I said, I think this is just me being like, hey, it's okay. Like everything is exactly as it needs to be. Everything's going to go how it needs to be. And then everything is happening when it needs to. And then I got this profound kind of realization that you can't make anything go any faster or slower than it's supposed to. So literally you could put in 100 hours worth of work on a project or something, and you could put in an hour's worth of work and you would still end up at the same point, regardless whether if you've done that 100 hours or that 1 hour. Like it still is going to bring you to the same point at the same time that you were meant to arrive there. And I tested that theory for a while. I burned myself out. Virgo burnout. Virgo burnout. I did it, and then I pulled back and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go and do the intuitively led action thing, and then when I don't feel it, I'm just not gonna do anything, right? Like I'm not do anything, but I'm just not gonna push it or force things. And honestly, the time that I took those intuitively inspired actions and I was in the divine flow, so much productivity happened. I mean, like in less than an hour, I got so many things ticked off my to-do list of box that I was like caught up for 3 weeks. And then versus me trying to like rack my brain trying to get these things done and make sure everything is meticulously lined up and scheduled and all the things, I got nowhere. Literally, I got maybe one thing done. So I've just been in this weird kind of, hey, it is what it is phase ever since the Christmas time to now, but it's interesting.
It's deeply interesting, and at the same time it feels like, well, it feels old and new at the same time. So when you just said that, I felt like, yeah, well, of course. And then like, what a great
What?
idea. So it's like, I love that very much, and I think I needed to hear that today, because I've been in a wobble, of course, as we all in the last month, where I thought like, I've done so much. I've like worked so hard. I've done everything, Virgo checklist stuff,
Yeah.
and like the results, like, what compared to what I did? Where's the rest from it? And it's not disappointing, but I'm like, actually really wondering where's the rest from all the stuff that I'm manifesting. I think like, how delayed can that be? And then really frustrated about me, like kind of standing on my own foot
Mm.
and like kind of procrastinating on my manifestation subconsciously. And then you said this, and I think like, yeah, of course, like it does not even make sense to hustle that way. How could humanity have come up with that concept of like hustling and burning out so that we get things faster? Because it's actually not our choice on
Correct.
when things come. And maybe we can choose timelines, we can choose
Right.
parallel destinies or however you want to call it, but when what happens, that's definitely totally overstepping the boundaries and trying to do the universe's job, which normally is not working out.
Yes, yes. Micromanaging the universe
Yeah,
has
well, it's
done
a good
nothing
idea.
for me but get my ass whooped. Like, let me put the PSA out there to anybody like that listens to this. Don't do it. Just
Just
don't do it, because literally I thought, me being me, I was like, well, you want me to, they like talk about, you need to put in action. Your dreams need an actionable plan. You need to put action behind. I'm like, well, let me do the action then. Let me do the action then. And then the action was me overdoing the action. It's like trying to balance the light switch on just how much to do and not to do. Overdoing it, not doing enough. Trying to micromanage the universe does nothing but kind of F you in the end.
yeah.
So
And
not
so many of us are doing it and are like kind of programmed to do that without even reflecting if it works,
right.
which I think is really interesting because normally we're like, if something isn't working, then there should be somewhere the mechanism to say like, oh, I noticed that's not working well, so I change to something that, well, maybe I experiment. But why are we not doing that?
Why do we not? Why
why,
are
why,
we?
why are we just like keeping in the hustle, 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 not even reflecting that this is like just not the way to do because it's totally against any universal law that you might or might not have ever come across it. And
Yes,
it's just not making sense, except for you burning out, you being the one who's like totally depleted of any energy.
exactly. Exactly. Why do you think that is? Like, why have we stayed in this programming and this conditioning for so long? And why do you think a lot of people don't notice, like, hey, this is a reoccurring cycle? Because, my thing, I always say evolve or repeat, but it's like a lot of times people don't ever realize that they're repeating ever.
It's interesting, the loop, isn't it? I wanted to ask you the same on your personal experience, but I love going collectively as well. So I think two things. On a personal level, I would say it's confidence, self-confidence, and trust. Because if we don't trust ourselves, we try to make up with that for the hard work.
Hmm.
Because if you really trust that it's working out and you really trust the universe and you really trust your abilities, then there is no need to push forward that much because you know that everything's working out. So it's not
Right.
sitting on the couch for ages, but it's like aligned action as you described it perfectly. Then you do that one thing in that 1 hour and that's like blowing up effortlessly, and the rest of the time you just being. And I think so the trust and the worthiness, self-confidence, all this like inner glow is the individual stuff that holds us back. But where does that come from? Societal programming. Not to blame anyone. No, that there is not that one person. My husband loves to believe that there's like the evil that kind of makes us.
Yeah.
I don't think that, but I think like over a few thousands of years we have like really beautifully programmed limiting beliefs into ourselves. And these go on for so many generations that people who are trained from early on to look at history, to see what will repeat in the future, the only
Right.
history we are able to see is the one that has been like kind of written somewhere. So the last few thousand years only. And in that time, we definitely are really masters of limitation in any area of life. So I think that's why we don't reflect, because it's like the cave analogy. We don't even know that there's something else that we could strive for. And so there is no point in even trying because the
Right.
box is so small that
Right.
we collectively put ourselves. And that's my explanation. Maybe there are 1,000 others.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and like for me, my personal experience of the, I came up with the evolve or repeat thing because for the longest time ever, that's what God Source Universe kept telling me through whenever I would automatic write, it'd be like on a whiteboard somewhere, evolve or repeat, or, if I was writing in my journal, I would scribble it at the top or at the bottom or the left-hand corner somewhere, evolve or repeat. And only when like a year later, I would go back and look and be like, why is this on all these pages, And it was because I was stuck in that health loop cycle of like trying to figure out what was going on with me from like the physical perspective of thinking like, oh, well, something must be wrong, when 90% of what was happening to me was experiencing a lot of the ascension stuff. But I kept putting myself back in the same loop of existence, and I would meticulously write down every year on a calendar, and I would keep the calendars. So for 2 years I kept these calendars, and I would look back on the dates. I would write down, like, on this day I had this appointment and this is what happened. On this day I had this appointment and this is what happened. On this day I felt this way. And I would go back and look on the next year's calendar, and literally within a 3 to 5 day window span, the same event would occur. And it was because I was literally repeating the same thing. And then I went back and looked at photos. So this was recently, like 2.5 years ago. You know how your iPhone, do you have iPhone? So you know how iPhone will do like your memories thing. I had looked back and I saw where I had done my nails, that not now, but like I had done my nails the same way, and I had done my hair kind of the same way. So like down to the same thing of like repeating. And so I went back and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, okay, what decisions was I making at that point in time? Where was my headspace at that point in time? And how was I feeling? Because in order for me to get out of that loop, I had to do a lot of changing within myself, right? Like I had to first realize, number one, I'm repeating things. And number two, I had to figure out what it was within me that was causing me to make the same decisions, and what were those decisions. When I say that I became the ultimate like Inspector Gadget trying to sleuth out my life, I spent and the next 5 years really. So when I tell you that like I really have spent my time in the Mariana Trench, in the abyss, in the depths of it, I was in there. And I spent a total of 5 years journaling out everything from the foods that I ate to the decisions that I made, to how I felt, to who I talked to where I went, and figured out what it was that I was doing that kept sending me back in the loop, because I was missing something, right? Like I was missing a lesson. I wasn't taking the exit. So like every day you're given the choice to take a different route, but if you're still set in those blinders, you're still in the tunnel vision, like we just said about the cave. If you're if you're still just in the cave and then you think that's all there is, you miss all the other exits that you could take to get out of the loop. And so this is what was happening with me. And I one day, literally, I was down bad. I was so down bad. I think I was super drunk, but I remember I sat up one day and I was like, I think it's me. I think it's me. I was like, it's definitely me, and it's me doing something. What do I need to do? I had a big pity party about it. And eventually I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm done drinking. I'm done doing this. I'm done, spending money on X, Y, and Z. I'm done going and hanging out with these people. And then I went and I put myself in the corner for a year. So after the 5 years of meticulously checking my journal, I started the change within myself, right? And so I took an exit, right? So the exit was then me making the change to, okay, we're no longer drinking. We're working out, and we're doing this differently. I did my hair differently. I think I cut all my hair off. And then it was just a whole journey. So then every day from that day forward, I made different decisions. Every day, like little things too. So I remember I used to sleep on the right side of my bed. I started sleeping on the left side of my bed. I used to take a shower at like 5 p.m. I started taking a shower at like 7. Little things, because that's, you're no longer putting the same dart at the same place on the board. I don't know. That was my really long explanation.
I think it's amazing. I'm really blown away that you have been able to do that for such a long time consistently.
It was rough.
I just think like, oh my God, all the data. What have you learned about yourself? It's just so
It's
black and white. How amazing is that?
Anna, I gotta show you all the journals I have. I'm gonna send you a picture. I kept them. They're all in my garage of literally because like there's no lies told. When I say that I documented every single thing for 5 years.
How many times did this take you every day? I think it would be like,
Because it's because I was sick, right? And I didn't have any energy. I couldn't work. I literally couldn't do anything. I was in the timeout corner, So that's what that was my work. I was my work.
yes, which is like the most beautiful thing you could ever say, isn't it? Like that you are your own work.
You are
Because
your
it's like so close to it is like we are here to be human beings, not human doings. I think it's like there is a really close connection to like taking time for yourself, not to brush your hair,
right,
give yourself a skin massage. Not that that's a bad thing, but to like
right.
really go inwards and see like what's there, what
Yes.
of this do I really want, and then like I think most people have they do actually know what they want, but it's more about allowing it in and about like really making that decision that you said you made, which I think is super interesting. And maybe all this like pre-work you did, this like really long, long, long detailed pre-work is what made it possible for you. Or is there anything where you said like, okay, is it all the data or what helped you like really make that shift? Because so many people know they want to do something different and maybe they also know what, but the inner strength, the discipline, the like commitment, that's where I see like the hiccup.
Yeah. So again, like I said, I mean, I don't know how to put it in a a less abrasive form here. So I'm gonna just say it as it is. But like literally, like I essentially kind of took the fall and like I went into the depths of hell and I was bad girl. So like I had no other choice but to it's like literally God's source universe said to me, you got to get yourself out of this. So you decide, you wanted to come here, you wanted to prove to people that like, hey, you can start from the bottom and literally get out. You can do this thing and it's on you. Do it then. And I was suffering so much. It's interesting to for me to have been on so many medications. Like it was like 25 medications at one time, SSRIs and things of this nature. I couldn't feel anything, but yet I was in so much pain, like internally and suffering so much. But like I was so disconnected from my actual self. And I hated that so bad. Like it wasn't the darkness that I was dealing with. Like I became quite close with the darkness, and that's something that has to be done. You have to accept that as it's polarity. It's a part of it's. You're not separate from it. It's a part of you. But the the being disconnected and not having the feeling of God source universe, like to, do you know what I'm saying, is what was my driving force. Because that was the thing that I think God source universe knew was what was going to bring me home, was when they kind of like cut that cord and was like, yay, you got to follow that feeling back home. That was my push, and you have to want it. You literally have to want it, because it's not a, I mean, everything and everyone, once you try to like, that moment that I made the decision to be like, okay, I'm changing, everyone and everything around me knew that I made that decision and immediately kept trying to pull me back. Like immediately. I mean, it was, when I say the fight was brutal, like it was brutal. I was getting socked out every day. Like it was I see why a lot of people don't. And it's hard work, but you can do it.
Yeah.
Just as you have to want your soul and your ascension and the best for you enough. Like that has to be your fuel.
Mhm.
And for me it was like, I was like, that's not what I came here to prove a point and I'm gonna do it, damn it. Like, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I totally get the rock bottom thing, and I think at some point in life we all go there. Might have different intensities, varying from people to people, but like this, we're like unfortunately still in the learning through pain loop, or maybe coming out of it right now. I feel like we have like stepped up a bit. But there's like, I think it's what you said is really interesting because often this is misunderstood. The moment that you make that decision to change whatever in your life and you really like are committed to that, hell breaks loose
Right.
on the outer world, almost as like the negative forces, if you want to call them that,
Right.
are knowing that
Yeah.
you're about to like grab a
Break
major
out.
piece of your light, grab a major piece of your soul, and therefore they're like trying to do whatever they can. I had a podcast today with a wonderful soul. She said she wrote a book about like awakening.
Hmm.
So I said it was today that I'm now talking with you. No coincidences, of course. And she said, like, she decided to write the book and help write those two major deaths in her family. She being in and out of the hospital for years, and she said she knew it was because this is what she meant to do in this life, and kind of
Exactly.
all negative forces in any way connected with her try to, make her not to. And it took her,
Not.
I think, about 8 years or 9 years to finish, and she has just finished. And it was like this wow moment of going through that and sticking long enough to that commitment that we've made for whatever it is that we want to come out of or that we want to grow into, to stay committed to regardless of what happens.
Hmm.
People, that's what I wanted to come to is normally if this hell breaks loose moment come, most of us like kind of snap back and say, oh, that's not for me, that's a bad sign. And so we therefore like stay in the cave or in the box, because we think like, oh, that's too dangerous, or that's not meant for me, or that's like a sign from whomever you believe
Whatever.
in, that
Whatever.
that's not your, the decision wasn't right, or this. And exactly the opposite is true. And I think like if we have that awareness, like what have we said no to that actually
Exactly.
would have expanded us so much because of this false paradigm of like, if resistance is coming up, that is like a no from the universe.
Exactly.
No, it's actually not. It's, and
Right.
yeah, would love to have that awareness for everyone, because how different would life be if we knew that this fear that comes up or this like chaos of out of any corner is actually a good sign.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because I think that's also a thing where, everyone thinks that, I don't know, like if you, whatever is meant for you is just going to be like simple, easy. It's just gonna, it's just gonna, it's just gonna click and it's just gonna be like, oh, this is, ta-da. And it, nah, and that's like when my mother and I moved to the house that we're currently in, I knew it was gonna be some shit before we moved because there was so much negativity and pain. Like my childhood house was my training ground, and it was very much rooted in a lot of toxic energy, a lot of negative experiences, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. You know, it was not a happy home. So we've been in here with three years now. So from birth to 3 years ago, that's where I spent my life. And I told my mom, I was like, look, there's going to be a small window of time that's going to open up for us that we're going to have to move through and move in. And like everything was aligned for us and ended up being like the housing market went really well for us to be able to get a good amount of money for our current house, to be able to get the house that we're in now. And but prior to that, I was out walking around looking at all these neighborhoods, well before we even got to the point in the physical of knowing that we were going to move. But because I'm always usually ahead, right. So I had already like scoped some areas, and this realtor girl had came into our life, and she was young, and I had to kind of sit her down and pull her to the side and tell her, you're going to see some things, like you're going to experience some stuff that you can't put logical words behind here. I said, because there's a lot of beings that don't want me leaving this house. And I said, but your job is to make sure that this house sells, that you do the paperwork. I said, you're literally just here to do the paperwork. Everything else is being handled. And I was like, can you do this or not? Like, are you good? Are you with me or not? I was like, regardless what comes up, don't worry about it. I got this. You know, I'm a fighter. I'm built for this. I got the team. I got the squad. Universe has my back. We're good. We're doing this. And sure enough, literally, as soon as we put that house on the market, shit went ablaze. Literally, it was Anna. It was so bad. There were people were stealing the for sale signs out of the yard. There were realtors that were coming by trying to like sabotage her. Like, and then we had this shoddy guy that came and gave our like it was just so much. It was so much that was happening. It was so much that was happening, and my realtor was like, I don't know what the like I don't know. Anyway, so it got to a point of where something happened and it looked bad, Anna. Like we looked like we were not gonna get to sell the house, period. And everybody, my mom was looking all sad at the dining room table. The realtor was like, I don't know about it. And I was like, look, we're selling this house and we're still moving. Anyways, long story short, everything lined up and we ended up finding this house, and everything that I had put on the things that we needed for our house was in this house. And then the guy who had the house wanted to like hold it open, and hold another open house for the a full week before accepting our offer. And no other people came to see the house because God Source Universe already said this is our house. Right. And so we ended up getting the house, and after it was all said and done, my realtor came and sat with us in our current house now, and she was like, I can't explain anything that just happened. Like, and I was like, man, I told you. And she was like, it's the fact that you gave me the pre-warning. And she was like, and then as soon as we listed it, she was like, it was just crazy. And our house number numerologically
Yeah.
yeah, is it's a 1 for new beginning.
Oh my god. It's such a perfect example for what you just said, that like the moment we decide that things blow up in our face. And
Yeah,
I love that you have the awareness to know that beforehand, because I feel it's kind of like what gives you the trust and the belief to say, like, we're selling the house, we're going through this. I know I'm meant to have this or that or be this or that,
yeah.
because otherwise, of course you quit. Otherwise, of course
Yes,
you out. And I think your realtor, if you wouldn't have had her warned, she would have maybe thought like, oh my god, it's me or whatever, or this is not sellable, or whatever doubts would have come up. But like, I think the moment we don't have this higher awareness, it's often hard to go on, because
exactly.
like roadblock after roadblock after roadblock coming in, and without the bigger vision or the like overview from a bit of above, there's almost no way, I think, to like go through this and stay on the lane and really trust that the next step has a ground beneath you, so that there is
Correct.
that there is like the earth appearing before you while you walk. And
Yeah,
it's
Leah,
so hard,
it's literally,
that feeling.
I say that all the time. Like, it's literally the proverbial walking by faith and not by sight, and like trusting that as you walk, another platform will come and like go, and be provided before you each step. But it's you're blind to a lot, especially that's why I call it the abyss, because like the Mariana Trench is, the deepest point of the ocean's depth. And there's no light down there, and all the fish have to use like the bioluminescence to emit their own light, but a lot of them like can't see because it's just total darkness. This is this is what I'm saying. Like, you can't see. You just have to trust that like you're going the right way and that you're going to be provided for. And that's why I said like my childhood, I think, was my training ground for it, because I had no other option but to just trust God's source universe, you know, throughout everything. And when you don't have that so frequently, it's easy to just be like, well, I guess this, I'm just not gonna do it. It just is what it is. And I think that sucks. You being being you, and you having your services, and those of us who are out here putting these messages out there and letting people know, hey, this is just kind of part of it, and it's okay, it's normal. I think it's going to be a game changer for a lot of the trajectory of where people are going now because they know, they know it's something that they can expect and not be so discouraged by if they experience it.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because within the last week I had this theme coming up a lot from one of my mentors, and I think it's a beautiful picture because we can like really easily tangibly relate to that, which is like if you're going to the gym and you're not sore afterwards, you don't experience the pain, you kind of think like, I don't do it correctly, I haven't done my workout correctly, because you kind of expect the pain
Right.
after a good workout. There's kind of an
Facts.
aching somewhere. Well,
Facts.
maybe not too bad, there's always a range, but you expect that there is some pain coming
Pain.
up. And I think it's the same thing that we've just talked about, that when we like go out of the familiar ground, when we kind of expand, which is why we're here for, so we naturally are in the process of doing it, then of course there comes pain. And I think the moment you don't know that, oh my God, I did something wrong, like first time in the gym, and then like thinking, oh my God, I did something wrong, I hurt myself, I'm never going to do that again. But it's the awareness level that is necessary to go on. And that is something that is not only a logical thing. So for me, I find over the years more and more that it's, yeah, the Virgo logical data collecting is valuable,
Yes.
totally. But
Yes.
it's about the embodiment, about having someone who reminds you of all of the stuff that you already have heard, that you haven't
Hmm.
embodied. Like this mentorship of saying, like, yeah, that's again, like, that's the soreness. This is totally fine. This pain, that chaos, it's not meaning that you're not in the right place. It's meaning that you're actual in the right place and things are about to like be really good. Because
Right.
only then you have this like, I know I'm selling the house belief so strong that you can carry on. And I think that's like essentially what we're here to do, to like
Yes.
remind each other of everything's just gonna work out. And in
Right.
hindsight, like I don't know anyone who says like it hasn't worked out. If you look back in your past, we all think like, oh yeah, and then now I know why that happened. But why can't we project that into the future? This kind of belief in ourselves and in the universe. So I think we need each other to do that and to like really, like you said, all these healers, light workers, all the people who are like assisting right now, building another paradigm.
Hmm.
The essential work is not to like raise the vibration of everyone. I believe it's like this remembrance of the
Yes.
power and of the trust. And that's quite a revolutionary thing when you look at how much do people trust in anything these
Right.
days.
Right. It's the deprogramming, I feel like, is
Mm.
the step one of things, the deconditioning, and that's it's a rough one. Yeah, it's a huge part, huge component. You said something that also they were like, "Oh, ask that." Um recently, and I want to bring it back of there also being this thing kind of on the flip side of that where we were speaking of the resistance of things being hard, but also something that I have experienced now is that since coming through the threshold of kind of getting out of the war zone, so to speak, and getting kind of the stamps of approval, I feel like we talked about this on our first one of like being like, well, you got the stamps of approval to be doing the things and you've learned the lessons and that this that the third. Now it's kind of like coming into a place of I gave the example of we used to be playing Call of Duty, where it was just like Warzone and like aggressive and now it's like we're playing Monopoly or like some like very chill. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's like the game switched and now it's like you're playing Animal Crossing. It's like a very easygoing thing. Now things are being like a lot easier and it's for me personally, speaking personally, like it's strange, because I'm used to that. Like I'm used to the Call of Duty. Like I'm used to, needing to be like, okay,
Yeah.
what's going on? And now, manifestations are happening like very effortlessly, which also is a caveat, like you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. And they've given me the thing of like, you don't need to, the suffering is over, like you don't need to, it's okay. Like you can relax. It's all right. Like it doesn't have to be hard anymore. Like it's okay. And like mentally for me, I hear what they're saying, but like
You're still running around with the guns. I do too. I think it's like, we're running around in Animal Crossing with the guns,
Literally.
sweating in our armor, thinking like, this is so hard, I have to be on the lookout. But we
Yeah.
don't. And it's
Right.
like that collectively, like imagine the whole population of this planet. We are a lot, yeah.
Right.
Laying down the armor, we're not used to that. We have been programmed to like fight, be in war, we're on the lookout, be like, everyone's kind of dangerous, and if it's not, it will soon come, like for sure. And now
Yeah.
we like, what are we doing now?
Right.
What
I'm
are
like,
all the people doing if they
what's
don't
happening?
fight? It's like,
Yeah.
I think it's super strange, and this like, I feel like what you said, totally, I agree. I think we've switched the game,
Hmm.
but nobody's noticed, or almost
A
nobody
lot of
has
people have
noticed.
not noticed.
No,
Right.
because it's like, it's just like the default to be in the
Yeah.
fighting mode. And I think like these moments where we feel like, oh, we could actually relax. No, then that
Yeah. I'm
feels
like,
strange.
what
That
is
feels
this?
dangerous because the nervous system is in like, up there. And we could kind of go relax on the beach right now, but we can't because we haven't been used to. So how can we like slowly decrease the dose of adrenaline and lay down our stuff and just like put off the
Literally.
shoes and then go to the beach?
Literally. And I've been, I've, I've been like armor off for some, I'd say for about a month and a half now, 2 months since January. Um, which has added to, I think, the chaos of things changing, because literally when you drop your like defenses, and you're okay with just just being, and you're confident that like you're safe and everything is okay, again things change around you. And so it's been reflecting in the energy. We had like 70-mile-an-hour winds recently, like back to back, because it is just so much changing. And not only that, but like I've noticed the way that people interact with me is very soft now. Like people handle me like a Care Bear, and I and I'm like, and I love it, but like also within me, I'm like, what is it? Is this okay? But they like they do, like people treat me like a cute little cuddle, like a little Care Bear, and it's like very soft and gentle, and I'm like, oh, is this this is the normal now? Is this what we're doing? Like, okay, okay,
Oh,
okay, yo,
we're not used to that, are we? I have
right?
the same actually. Now that you're talking about it, I haven't even like, yeah, I haven't even put that into perspective. But yes, totally.
Yes,
It's just, so we just are not used to that, and it feels like, I think for people, I've never been bored this whole life. No idea how that feels, but I think people
right,
could get bored from that. Like
right,
there's an initial reaction to like, oh, this is life now. This is boring. There's nothing happening actually. So
right.
again, until the nervous system kind of
Calms down.
relaxes, comes
Yeah,
down, it might feel like super uncomfortable that nothing is happening. And so maybe that's why people embrace like all this
chaos.
outside world chaos that is still playing out, but it's kind of like the last 5 minutes of the film, and it's like,
Right.
everything is like super over the
Over
top, and
dramatic.
yeah, totally over dramatic. Oh my god, don't care watching that. But I think
Same,
yes, I think
same,
it's so
literally same, literally same. I'm like, mer,
yeah. No,
mer.
I always say like we don't watch TV since like decades now.
Same.
Sometimes like every, I don't know, half a year we try to find film just to or just to,
Yes.
not possible.
Yeah.
After 10 minutes, I always say to myself,
Can
can
we
we
just?
please stop? My time is too valuable for that. I'd rather go to sleep right now
I'm
because
just
it's
going to
just,
bed.
and it's, I feel it's the same energy right now that if you look at the news or if you look at the latest like 150 dramas that are happening, you're like, okay, that's bad. But well, then again, like, where
Right.
can I just find something more enjoyable for it? It's
Right.
not going to be.
Right. It's not worth it. And like I feel like it's just like an energy suck. And I think we also had this conversation the last time where like it's a struggle for me to be doing what I'm doing, business wise, and having to be on social media as much as I am. Like I don't watch the news purposely, and whatever people can do with it, whatever they want. That's not a judgment on anyone. Do what you want, but I purposely try to not. And it's like everywhere they try to, if you pull up your phone and you're like on Google, they're like, here's the top 5 things that, and I'm like, I don't want to, and then I'm like on social media trying to post my stuff or what have you, and then somehow something is there, or somebody's talking about X, Y, and Z that's going on, and it's rough. It's trying to find the balance between being active on online, posting what needs to be posted for from a business standpoint, and taking what do they call it, like a social media hiatus is it's it's a it's a struggle because it feels draining for me to, I don't know, to be on social media for a long amount of time.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's like this. What we're essentially talking right now, this like helping us to, or no, keeping us in the drama. I think that's like
Right.
big agenda of this last 10 minutes of the film. Is like
Facts.
keep them interested.
Get
So
them.
that there's this like here's that bad thing happening and that bad thing happening, and it's like I've
Yes.
noticed. I don't know if you've noticed that too. So me too. I'm posting my stuff. I'm trying to support the people in my community, but then I'm off. I don't want to know
Exactly.
anything new
I
or
don't
anything of
want
the
to.
latest
I
fear
don't.
porn.
Yes.
But it comes up, and right now I feel like a lot of like healers who have been neutral before kind of shift to being a newspaper. They're like talking politics a lot. They're like expressing their opinion, and I think it's really interesting. I never have witnessed that before. But okay, I have to admit I have been off social media for 15 years, so maybe I don't have the full spectrum of knowledge there. But I think it's
No, but
interesting that this
still.
happens still.
Yeah. I'm like I. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't do the I don't do the politics thing. I think it again, like I said, kind of like it's a waste of energy and time. But I just wanted to bring that back up and be like, I think that's something that we talked about. There was also something you mentioned about just being,
Mhm.
and that being a struggle for a lot of people, and why. Why are we called a human being, but like the human can't just be?
That's an interesting question. I have no answer for that, although I'm posing the question to myself regularly since, I don't know, a decade maybe.
Yes.
Just like many theories, but no actual idea how we
Yes.
came to this doing stuff. My son always asks me this, like, why do we have to do all that stuff? And like, of course, the first thing that comes to mind is like, you need to earn money for a living. But like, why?
But
Why have we
why?
made that system
Why
up
did
that
why
way?
did this happen?
And
Period.
when? Actually, when did
When?
this happen?
Yes, yes, because like I need to hone all my timeline and time travel abilities to pinpoint that exact time and date and be there and be like, no, the F we're not.
That will be like,
Never.
yes.
Never. Yeah,
And
because
I would love to know like how you feel, because I feel like within maybe since 2020, um, around that, I feel that more people are slowly waking up to the idea of like, do I really need to do that job that much in a way that is not fed by the newspapers and oh we all burned out and stuff like this, but more like this, why can't I be paid for being me? When I've heard that for the first time, I was like, oh, okay, well, that sounds interesting. Now we can talk money,
yes,
because before I was like, money. Ooh.
yes, yes,
Well, of
yes,
course, another interesting paradigm in the spiritual realm, but this
yeah.
like paid for being you, and I feel that we're collectively on the move there. So I would love to know if you've experienced that too. But like all these coaches, all these healers, all these light workers sharing their gifts, I feel like when someone books a session with me, I'm just me. Yeah, I'm paid for being me and for like channeling
Exactly.
information through my filter,
Yes,
but that's not work. This is like my expression of whatever happens up there.
exactly.
That's me being paid for being me, and I see more and more people on that, and I think, okay, that's the new
Yes,
work thing
yes,
we're doing.
yes, yes. That's exactly how I feel. And I too was there like, ew, like I don't want to work, like, and and in that traditional way, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be a slave to a system.
Hmm.
I very much represent that, like, death before bondage type of situation. And I'm like, can't, like, I don't want to do it. The being paid for what I was divinely put here to be doing, what I worked my ass off of meticulously preparing for and training for and going through, what I took a fall for to be doing
Mhm.
is what I would like to be accepting monetary funds, tangible funds, energy exchange for, and nothing else. Like, that's what I'm here for, and that's what other people are here to be doing. And that should be the thing that we should be getting supported for. That should be the thing that should be our supporting factor, our money makers, but not this going to work for somebody else's dream or corporation and being an expendable resource to them, a number to a system that really doesn't know who you are and doesn't value you at all. you know that's not.
Yeah, the whole like not even just the time for money thing, which I think is totally like outdated as well, but also this like working for someone else's dream, but then again, like not being valued in there. It's like
That.
being paid the lowest, whatever possible. Everyone wants to save on the expenses, and you're like, you need to like be satisfied with a little whatever they give you, and then drain yourself in there, spend hours there. Me too. I was totally close to burnout, and as a burger, like I've always worked a lot,
Yes.
really a lot, many jobs at the same time. And then I thought, like, okay, if I burn out, I could rather burn out for my own stuff, not for
Literally.
someone else's dream. Like, if I and let's just do it for my own benefit, if you
Yeah.
can kind of phrase that way.
Yes.
Even that is like total strange thing to think about. But I think we're coming back to this like, why am I doing this? Why am I taking on that mask? Why am I molding myself into that form that is definitely not me? Because if you like are employed, there's nothing against employment. Not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur, but if you're employed and you're still paid for being you, and you can still be authentically you and not try to put on a mask, then we can talk. But that's not like the masses.
Exactly.
I think that there needs to be a shift as well on how we look at work, at workforce, and again, there's the word force in it. I think it's like talking a lot about the struggle we've just said about the like
Yes.
Call of Duty. Like we need
Yes.
to fight to be paid so that we can then party our ass offs on the weekend, so that we can then jump hard into work for the. What is that?
What is this? Yeah. What is this? This is the loop. This is a loop. Is exactly
That's
what it
the
is.
loop you
Like, that's
talked
the
about
loop. Yeah. I'm
before.
like, that's the loop. No, that's not it. It's just, it's not it. It's really not. It's not
And
it.
yeah, I love that we have incarnated in a time that we can witness that shift, because we
Right.
talked about intensity before. We in the last month have definitely been the most intense, but at the same time, now that they're so exciting because we can see this playing out in real time. The old system kind of like crumbling.
Collapsing. Yep.
Yeah, it's deeply interesting to witness that, because there's no way of describing what would happen. But then again, like you see the potential, I
Hmm.
see the potential. Like there's a lot of potential for
It's
a really juicy, beautiful
Yes.
future.
Yes. And like me, like I said, spending so much time in the darkness, like I'm very much just like waiting. And I think a lot of people, a lot of beings have also just been waiting for this. It's like the leaning tower of Pisa, like a lot, like it's leaning, and you just want to take your foot and be like, yeah, like this is where the system has been, like, especially I've said it on another podcast, and I don't remember which one it was, but we said how, like, America has essentially kind of been like the epicenter of this thing of setting it off. It's been like the leaning tower of Pisa for the longest, and like now it's finally here, of like at pivotal tipping point. Literally. And so many things have literally just been sitting here for the longest, like waiting for this prime exact moment to just be like, and now it's like the dominoes. What was it called? You know, where you were Jenga. It's like Jenga. Literally, it's literally like finally the Jenga piece has been removed that collapses the tower. And because so much beauty is going to come and rise from the ashes like a damn phoenix that has been trapped in the cage forever. You know, it's like so much good is coming from it. And it needed to happen. It's just well past time for this collapse to happen. And I think I don't know, I think a lot of people see it as such as well, you know, because you can't build something new on a shaky foundation. You just can't. You just
We have tried that a long time, haven't
we
we?
tried that. So you know what I'm saying? And it's like you can't that sorry, they just gave me the thing of like that's why you had to move like cuz you can't heal in the same place that made you sick. It is it's kind of the same thing here. Like you can't rebuild on the shaky foundation.
And I feel why people are resisting this still, like if they have already the level of awareness to see what's happening to some extent, is this we no having no idea of how the beauty looks like because we
Exactly.
only see the crumbling and we have no idea. So there's a lot of talk about war here in Germany,
Right.
and like everyone is kind of like waiting for it to go off, and that's a horrible feeling, and people have been through it often enough to know how it feels. And so there's all this anticipation, all this expectation of bad things happening. And I think that is because we have no idea how good it can get.
Can
We
be.
haven't been there. We're on the end of such a long period of darkness,
Right.
thousands of years. We have no idea how the light looks like, and therefore it's so scary
It's
that we
scary. Yeah.
rather expect more darkness, which is like,
Even worse.
yeah,
Right. Like what?
what is that? It's interesting to see that play out, but at the same time, to not be sucked into this, like, oh my God, everything's crumbling, everything's like gonna be really bad soon, really soon.
Right.
Prepare. It's hard to not be doubtful.
Right. Exactly.
Hmm.
You mentioned the resistance thing, and I wanted to ask, but before we closed out, if you wanted to talk about the thing that we were talking about prior to us recording about kind of the your son with the resistance, or not.
Yeah, we talked about that because I shared that my kid is sick really often lately, which he normally isn't, and that I'm wondering about that a lot because I have the firm belief from everything that I can see that these new children come in kind of ready for what we're about to see unfolding. Like
Right.
this big shift
Yes.
we're talking about, they are here for a reason. They are here to like assist dad on their childish level to witness dad during their upbringing. So I wonder how there's a lot of resistance. And then we talked about this like tension, this resistance
You
creating
feeling it?
sickness. And that's what a lot of people I think are going through right now. That there's a belief of like all these people don't want to witness what's happening now, the bad stuff that's happening, and so they kind of leave. But I
Right.
think it's the opposite. I think it's like us having these old beliefs, maybe from past lives or parallel realities, however you want to phrase it, that there's this tension that we need to kind of work ourselves through. We kind of like rocks that are like really, how should I put that? They're really rough, and we are like kind of smoothing ourselves out with
Having
the
to tumble
resistance.
them, having to
Yeah,
tumble
like
them.
just like this. And I feel that's exactly what's happening to my kid. All the others here, but
Exactly.
there is a layer of roughness
Hmm.
released through the tension, through the sickness, and it's nothing bad. Actually, I think it's like a really good thing. It's like
Right.
comfortable, but it's like peeling a layer away,
Yes. Yes.
and having this smoothness, and then these. At the same time, I wonder why that happens to the young ones. For the
Yeah.
older ones, I don't wonder, but for the kids, I wonder. And then I think like, wow, they have taken on already so much of that paradigm. It's so
It's
present.
so much.
This
Yeah.
old world is so loud at the moment. So maybe it's no wonder that they do. Maybe it's no wonder that we all resist. We all are sick more. And kind of the body is, I don't know how you
Purging.
handle that. Like, yeah, it's purging. It's like trying to get in all these new sun codes, all
Energy.
these like how to work with the new energy.
Frequencies, how to drive the divine vessel.
Yeah,
Yes.
all these activations coming, and the body's like, what again?
What is this? What's happening? Yes.
So
Yes.
we're kind of doing that, and it seems like the kids are doing that too. And I think it's really interesting. But then again, they have taken a lot of stuff on from ourselves,
Right.
our beliefs, from the collective, and it's actually it's so interesting to witness that in a condensed form, because the young ones are so, it's condensed energy. It's like really
Yes.
force, and so everything is just more dramatic. So I feel it's like maybe like a teaser movie
Yeah. Yeah.
compared to,
Yeah. Yeah.
compared to the long version. You can
Yes.
see it on them playing out, and like, oh, okay, well, that's
Okay. How old is your son?
7.
Yeah,
So
so a lot of people that I know that have kids are from the age of 3 to I guess now 7 are experiencing this, and it's I had one of my friends and she kept asking me. She was one of my physical therapists, and she kept asking me, and she's like, I don't know what she's like, am I doing this mother thing right? Just like cuz like my kids just, constantly, in this kind of, he'll go from the questioning phase to like being kind of like frustrated and like irritated to, and she's like, I don't know if I'm like, man, you're handling your child like a spiritual mom should. Like a child, bringing up a child in a, I don't know what the right word to say here is, a supportive manner to allow them to blossom naturally as they are with all their gifts and everything intact. Like you're doing exactly what you should be doing. And it's but it's interesting to see this new generation of kids coming up, because they're all exhibiting kind of like early signs and symptoms, kind of like you said, like the teaser trailer of feeling the energies. And I I don't have kids, so all I can do is like watch other people who are close to me and observe the, again, me with the patterns, observe the patterns but between, and notice like it's very much like you said, kind of like a teaser trailer of,
isn't it interesting that
yeah.
they are like playing all this out? I've just talked about that with a few mothers at the school we are, that these first graders, so many of them have like panic attacks, are
Hmm.
highly sensitive, are like really, not hard to handle. That's not what I mean.
No,
But there's a lot more attention going to them because they're not fitting in the masses, which
they're
I think
not
is always a
nor
good thing. Like
exactly, yeah,
lots
exactly.
more of them.
Yeah, and they don't need medication. Like I sorry, I said that with my full chest out. Like I'm like, and they don't need like, and like I said that with the full aggression, because you know what I mean. Like that's what happened to me, as a kid, and that's not me and a lot of other people, and your kids are special because they're special. They're here on a mission to be the way that they are, to do the things that they're supposed to do, even in their child bodies. Like, and you can learn a lot from kids, being kids, just being kids, because that's how they are, just divinely made. They're just being their divinely made selves and expressing their emotions and feeling the energies and allowing it to pass through them naturally.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there, because I hate that when people be like, my kid's doing this, maybe I need to take them to the doctor. There's nothing wrong with your kid, man.
The thing is that it's something wrong with society. I want to like
Yeah,
take it a step further, even though it's like offending to a lot of people. But the
it's the
kids are
facts.
not the problem. It's the society that is so narrow-minded that we try to fit everyone into a box, and if they're not willing to fit, then there's something wrong with them.
With them,
Instead of
exactly.
looking like at these are just kids, they're here on their mission, as you said, and whatever they are doing, like we have no idea about it, and it's actually not our business. So just let
Exactly.
them be. And the last thing that they need is medication to numb themselves down.
Right.
But
Facts.
well, at the other hand, like every child chooses their parents, and they're like every soul chooses whatever they're living through. So
Right.
well, then again, it's their experience that they're going through, but it's from higher perspective. I think it's just nonsense to
It's nonsense.
number everything down. We're here to express, to create, like what you shared about your journey. I had the all the time. I had this like creativity of living life, of building life, of this like creation of life from the bottom up.
Yeah.
It's hard, but at the same time, what a satisfaction you get from building from the ground up. Of like, I have full body chills. It's like, it's like, yeah, detailed nitty gritty work, but the satisfaction you get from it, I think that's why we're here. And so the moment we numb ourselves down, or we numb the kids down, we're totally taking that away, and that's
Away
just not,
immediately.
no, not what it's supposed to be.
Nah. Yeah, and it is. It's a rough process, kind of like you said. It is a rough process, and a lot of people, because I've always documented, my progress, everything that I've gone through, like vlog style. A lot of people have literally, they can go back and watch me in the depths of it, where I was rough, 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 and but the beauty in that is that you can literally see me grow. Literally, like, they're like, detailedly, you can see where I started the change, from where I hadn't done any work on myself to now. And it is like, it's like chef's kiss of things. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, people frequently will do this thing of being like, well, I'm not that person anymore, so like, let me delete my past, let me just get rid of that, and all the things. But like, I never did that. Even the cringiest of things, like, I left it, because it's kind of like a vlog, like a paper trail, a history of, like, nah,
Yeah,
man, I'm not just saying this. Like, I did it. And it's like chef's kiss. Like I said, you planted the seed. It's like the seed that grew through the cement, you know that's what it's like.
that's so beautiful. Oh my God, what a beautiful seed you've planted.
Yes.
It's amazing to see that you're courageous enough to like be visible in that change.
Yeah.
I think that people can get so much power, so much inspiration, so much strength from looking at how others kind of lift themselves out of whatever they're in.
Yeah.
We can really, oh, they did that. I can do that too. It's such a
Exactly.
powerful process to witness. And therefore, like, I think it's, although it's like making yourself really vulnerable, it's
Yeah.
really, really, really beneficial.
Yeah.
Also to you to like look back in hindsight, I think it's beautiful. Oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you so much for that inspiration and that detailed, like I have that picture in my mind of you being so detailed in writing everything down. That's amazing.
It was quite the journey.
Yeah.
Anna, thank you for being here with me. Thank you for everything that you've shared. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for loving me and just spending time with me and pushing through I don't know what happened. Did you see the glitch? Did you see it also happen? I was like, what
I
what
did.
is happening?
It needed to be something when it's ending. We're like about to go into Mercury retrograde quite soon. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think like, and us two meeting on a Virgo full moon, there must be
There
something
must be something.
coming.
Yeah.
So you see what I hope the recording has recorded.
Yeah, it says heads up, Anna's recording will continue on a new track. Started a new recording for Anna due to a change in their devices, and you sound louder, so like, did your microphone switch?
I don't know. I hope not, but well, you hear me? That's good.
No, I can hear you, but like you sound louder
Okay.
than you did before.
Okay. Very
So I don't know
strange.
what happened. Anyways, well, we'll end the recording here. Thank you, Anna. Please tell me your socials, how people can get in touch with you and book you, and then we'll close out, and then we'll we'll continue this once I hit the.
So yeah, best on Instagram still
Okay.
at Let's Change Our Minds. And for the podcast, I've decided to go for YouTube and Spotify for the moment.
Yeah.
So that's always a good way to reach out as well, depending on what you need. But
yeah, reach out on Instagram. We figure everything out. All the programs are listed there. All the
Sounds good.
podcast episodes are kind of linked there. So that's the best way to give me peace of mind to not have to take care of 20 different platforms.
Exactly.
So, yeah, thank you so much for having me again. Thank you for working through all these changes and,
Just
wobbles that have
just
happened.
fluid. Just
Yeah,
fluid.
we're really fluid. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really true. And I'm so grateful for that and for your openness and your energy. It was like delicious to meet you
Chef's
again. Yeah,
kiss.
chef's kiss. I
Chef's
thank
kiss.
you so much. Oh,
You're
beautiful.
welcome. Thank you for always being here. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.